Welcome back, folks, to another episode of the Yankees Farm Report. I'm back now, as you can see. Thank you to Marcus for filling in. Got a lot to cover, so we're going to get right into it. Starting right off with the rookie leagues, we're going right down to let's look at the DSL leagues. For the DSL Yankees, you have Isias Castillo. He hit 500, 526 on base percentage. That's a 2014 OPS. Eight extra base hits, four home runs, 11 RBIs, six walks. 2026 IFA catching one of the top big bonus babies for the Yankees, six figures. Cesar Lopez hit 444 with a 1643 OPS, two extra base hit, his first pro home run, two RBIs. Steven Martinez hit 333 with a 1399 OPS, five extra base hits, two home runs, nine RBIs. Big week for him. Juan Torres, who continues to be hot, hit 318, 940 OPS, four extra base hits, a home run, five RBIs. Yostin Pena, 294, a 1259 OPS, four extra base hits, two home runs, five RBIs. And Juan Martinez, another 2026 IFA catching prospect, hit 273 with a 697 OPS and RBI.
I'm going to preface this by saying this has been a lot of fun, the
Yeah.
start of DSL. It's been a lot of fun. And
Hmm.
you look at the box score and you see all those 1,000 plus
Yeah.
OPSs. But, and this is not, I'm not trying to throw cold water on anybody. It's been great. I hope it keeps going. The names that you want to see performing well are performing well. Top 50 WRC pluses in the DSL. Top 50. How many of them are Yankees?
I'm
Take
I
a
gonna
guess.
say
Take a
I would say
guess.
I'm gonna
two.
guess three. Oh,
Two.
just two.
It's two.
I would
The
say two.
offensive environment is insane.
Mhm.
So it's great. It's way better than not performing. It's just, I thought I would look at that leaderboard and say, there's got to be a bunch of Yankees on here. And there aren't. So the numbers
Well,
are
I
great.
mean, for Asias Castillas, he's leading in a lot of the categories.
Well,
Well, coming into the
I was
year.
kind of waiting to get to it, but yeah, he's I'm just have it filtered by WRC plus. There is three right now. This hasn't updated for today's games, by the way, where I think he went 1 for 6 with the double, right?
Yeah.
But as of out of 373 qualified batters in this early going, Isaias Castillo is 12th in WRC plus, which is, obviously great when you're looking at a lot of them. Yeah, he leads the league in home runs, so it's been very exciting for him. It's while there have been others impressive, he's clearly been the gem, and he was, I think we said 750K, right?
Yep.
So this was clearly a guy who was, that's a prized signing right there, and in order or in a IFA group that had not been living up to expectations recently. This is the kind of thing we needed from a big bonus baby. He turns 18. I think he turned 18 yesterday. So happy birthday. But yeah, it's great seeing him kill it, even if I don't really care about the strikeout rate right now. Like that's just a very DSL thing, but hitting for that type of power.
Yeah. And he looks it. Strength, bat speed. You'd really want to see Martinez and Manny Cedeno get off to a good start, and they have. So
Hmm.
speaking of big bonuses, Cedeno had a wreck of a season last year. Granted, what did he play at 16?
He was 16, yeah.
Much
Yeah.
of the whole
A high school
season.
sophomore.
Yeah, so
And
him getting another
he
go
got
at it,
hot late. He got
yeah,
hot late.
and coming out of the gates playing well, or at least swinging the bat well, putting up numbers. That's what you want to see. And Pena, this is an 18-year-old that they signed, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Same thing, getting out of the gate well, looking like a good move for them. So all good signs. And it's been fun to watch so far.
Yeah. And I think I tweeted this the other day, like what Steven Martinez is doing right now. I mean, that's pretty much what I was hoping that Manny Cedeno would do out of the gate last season. Granted, he was 16 years old, he was adjusting to playing professional and organized baseball. He's playing a lot better this season. And with Yostin Pena, like that's what he's doing right now is what I expected from Francisco Velorio.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how much Yostin signed for. It was six figures though, but I don't remember what the number was.
So what was his deal? He was age change.
It was an age related thing, yeah. I think with the Cardinals, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
Hmm. I mean,
and
he looks great. He's
yes,
an exciting guy, and Like I will say, you know, I know the Yankees don't usually do this, but with Martinez and Pena and Juan Torres, these guys basically are the same age as like Wilberson de Pena and Richard Matique, who are already in FCL. And I definitely understand for especially for like Martinez and obviously Pena's situation why they're in the DSL right now. But I would like to see these guys even just get like a few weeks in the FCL, just because they are in that kind of like they're not behind schedule, but they're definitely they're kind of like in that that typical range where like it's really hard to tell is this just because of their age group that they're dominating right now, or is this because these guys are legitimate prospects? So I would love to see if we can get a little bit of a run in FCL to see what that situation is, but we'll see if the Yankees are aggressive with them.
Just piggybacking real quick off of what Marcus had said earlier. I think the first five guys in the lineup have an OPS of over 1,000.
Yeah, and we're looking for a wave of prospects to come out of that group because
Hmm.
last year it was kind of like guys who had
Matique.
interesting names had disappointing seasons. And
Matique was
so,
the only guy that really stood out.
yeah, so you're hoping for the emergence of some people here. And so far, I think the guys you had your eyes on are the ones that are performing. So it's really good signs down there.
Yeah. Wrapping up this team on the
Well,
pitching side of things, you had Joe Snaker Colina. He threw 5 and 2/3 innings, only allowed one unearned run, one walk, which we love to see in this league, with 7 strikeouts. Junior Jerez threw 4 1/3 inning, 3 hits, one unearned run, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Freddie Puñuelas threw 4 1/3 innings, 2 hits allowed, one unearned run, one walk, 7 strikeouts. And Luis Iraza through 1 1/3 inning, 1 hit allowed, 4 strikeouts. Um, so I mean,
I
one of their issues, and I think I've spoken to a couple, like I spoke to Martinez, and I said, what, your offense can keep up with anybody. It's just a matter of your pitching holding the opposing offense. I mean, shutting them down is probably going to be impossible, but at least trying to contain them.
I
Because
mean.
this offense can go up against anyone, any of those teams.
I think we all know that like pitching, especially in this small of a sample at the moment, it's kind of like near impossible to truly evaluate.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying, these guys are not legitimate prospects, or if they are, if not saying they are legitimate ones, but just filtering on fielding independent pitching. Yankees have three guys in the top six. Freddie Punelas, who just turned 19. He has a two. He's third in all of DSL. Jean Sankier Solina. I'm not even. Oh, I don't even. God, how bad did I butcher
That's just
that?
Napier, Colina.
Just snakier.
Yeah.
He's our version of the password. That's what we're calling him now. Um, but he's fifth, and then Junior Jerez, who's a bit older.
He is. I think he's 20, if
But
I'm not mistaken.
yeah, he's six. But I know I at least know with Kulina, he was kind of interesting last year.
Hmm.
As a
He was.
17-year-old, he turned 18 at the end of March, so he's still pretty young, and it's a good start this season. You love seeing a 4.2 walk percent, at this level. With K percent. That's it's hard to tell. A lot of these hitters don't have good hit tools and whatnot, but you walk percent, if you're able to throw
Yeah.
strikes. And I'm sure some of it's chase as well, but still, with the way the DSL works and so many walks, it's encouraging to see. Um, and also, if you go by XFIP, Colina and Fornelos are third and fourth. So yeah, I think those are two guys who are, if I had to say anyone of standing out, it's those two right now.
Yeah, I
Yeah, when
was
I look,
laughing when you said FIP because that's where my eyes are going. In the DSL,
Mhm.
my eyes are going right there. That's
yeah,
that's all I want to
when
Yeah.
see.
I'm looking at these pictures, those are the two columns that I look at as walks
Yeah.
and strikeouts. That's what I know.
And
And as far as
I don't,
junior,
yeah,
huh?
I wouldn't even say strikeouts just because it's so tough to tell you know, how with these kids hitting tools. I just think walks gives a better approximation of what type of strike percentage they have. It's so tough. But it's clear they have some talented guys because it's a lot of these guys have higher ERAs, but it's not for a lack of them being bad.
Just real quick, I know on Junior Jerez, I know he was sitting 94, 95, and he got it up to 96 a couple times last week. I didn't get to see this week because I didn't do a video for him. But yeah, I know he's in the mid 90s. Colinas, I believe sits 90, 91.
Well, hopefully you can get that up a little bit.
Yes, he fills
Yeah,
out. I mean, he still looks like a kid.
yeah, it's even getting it up to 92, 93. If he develops good pitch shapes, you can kind of play with that. 93, 94 would be better, but yeah, it's not an awful place to be. Um, especially barely 18.
All right. Looking at the DSL Bombers team, you have Bolly Ojeda who hit 444 with a 989 OPS, two extra base hits. He hit his first career home run today. Sebastian Pinto hit 429 with a 1457 OPS. He had a home run, an RBI, three walks. Adrian Feliz hit 333 with a 788 OPS, two RBIs, two walks. Manny Cedeno hit 294 with 1043 OPS, three extra base hits, a home run, four RBIs, five walks. He's playing a lot better this season. It's the second time around. He's 17 now. He's looking a little bit better physically, and it's coming across in the stat sheet for him. Um, we're getting more of the player that most people expected out of Manny Cedeno.
And he's on that puts him on track. So
Yeah.
I mean, just at his age, is I'm gonna start that sentence over again. At his age, have a good season at DSL, move naturally to the complex league next year, playing at 18. I mean, right on track if his development's moving that way.
And also, not to say that he doesn't need to perform offensively, especially at this level. Um, but from everything I understood about him when he was signed, is this kid's a really fluid, twitchy shortstop. And if you're a very good defensive shortstop, that that adds value. But beyond the bat, that allows you to not necessarily need to have that as your carrying tool. Not that it still needs to perform, especially in these lower levels. But as you get up to the, double A, hopefully if he gets there and beyond, he doesn't need to be a super bat if he still maintains those good defensive skills. And also he was like 5'9", when like six, Fangraphs I think says 5'10", 180. I'm not sure how much I buy that looking at him.
Mhm.
So it's it's another guy who still has hopefully some frame to project, or if that's the scary part with him, is just how much bigger and how much stronger can he get. But it's definitely encouraging to see him do well. Richard Matique, who we'll talk about last year, he was a 2-year DSL guy, struggled as a 16-year-old, did really well as a 17-year-old, and now, is obviously a good prospect in the system. So yeah, we'll see how the next few weeks go, but it's definitely encouraging with Cedeno.
And it seems crazy to say, but when you're in your second season in the DSL, it is kind of a tipping point. So if you struggle 2 years in a row,
Hmm.
those questions become really serious. So when a guy's got that better second year, you feel much better about the track he's on.
Yeah, and it's certainly better than what Valorio delivered last year. Not that there wasn't still belief in him, because he did improve in some areas, but he
Yeah.
also didn't hit a home run. And when you're this guy who's known for the power, and you can't deliver a home run, it definitely raises eyebrows. So no, definitely good to see that it's not that type of situation.
Just want to mention on both of these teams the catching depth. You have Alessandro Rodriguez, who is a 2025 IFA. He's hitting 355 with a 984 OPS. And then you have a couple of IFAs from this class. Cesar Lopez, who's one of the top signings. He's hitting 313, 976 OPS. You have Polio Ojeda, who's hitting 289 with a 900 OPS. And then you have Juan Martinez, who's hitting 458 with a 1094 OPS. So there's some more of your catching depth that should be stateside next year, not counting what the Yankees already have stateside in the FCL. I mean, I looked at Tampa's game today. They had four catchers in the lineup today. Boyer was playing left field. One guy was at catcher, one guy was at DH, and the other guy was at first base.
Not to completely change the subject, but since we are talking about IFAs, I feel like it would be worthy to mention, the reports out of Taiwan that the Yankees are lining up the signing of, I can't remember his first name, but his last name is Lay,
Mhm.
Lai. We've kind of talked over the last, I guess since the whole fiasco started with Donnie Rollins, being let go. That, what are they going to do with all this IFA money that's coming up for them? And obviously, we knew they explored one of the top KBO guys. He turned them down. Um, they made some signings of European players, but this is a very exciting young player that they're targeting and are projected to sign. What I've heard is that he's up to 96 with his fastball, which is very encouraging. He's got a nasty curveball. I imagine when he debuts, he's not going to be going to the DSL, but I just feel like since DSL is the main international free agent level, I think it was worthwhile just to mention this kid that we might be bringing in for the
If it's
26 class.
if it's who I think you're talking about, that's I believe the rumor is $1 million signing.
I think it's a little less than a million, but yeah, it's right around there.
Moving on to the complex league, you have Jose Castro. He hit 500, a 1480 OPS, two extra base hits, a home run, five walks, four steals. Lenny Donier hit 412, 500 OBP, 1029 OPS, two extra base hits, two RBIs, three stolen bases. Wilberson De Pena, coming off of a Player of the Week, hit 350 with 1100 OPS, four extra base hits, two home runs, seven RBIs. Dexter Peralta hit 333 with a 1244 OPS, three extra base hits, two home runs, seven RBIs. Richard Matique hit 313 with an 825 OPS, an extra base hit, three RBIs, four walks. And Christopher Reyes hit 308 with a 616 OPS.
And that's another example of a team where you can feel really good about the way guys are swinging the bats, and those names become more and more interesting when they do. You mentioned Jose Castro. That's a guy who's been around for a while.
Mhm.
So to see him starting to put up some numbers in the FCL, that's a nice sign too, because I feel like he got I don't want to say, I'm not going to speak to what his status was or is,
Well, he was
but I
hurt.
feel like he kind of got forgotten in that group, and now to be among it, I'm happy to see that.
Yeah, he's looked good, really good since he's come back, and he was hurt. I believe he lost most of last season, I want to say, and this season he started on the
Um,
IL.
just looking in 23, he played 33 games. 24, he missed the entire 24 season. In 2025, he played 35 games with 111 WRC plus and six home runs. So, yeah, obviously it was with 111 WRC plus, as we were just kind of discussing in DSL, that isn't like the most impressive thing, but what he's doing right now is extremely impressive. I had to change the qual. He technically isn't qualified right now, but in the Florida Complex League for hitters with 60 or more plate appearances, Jose Castro is number one in WRC plus with 224. So, it's. What more could you want? That, number one.
And he did homer today, just not official because the game was suspended.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's gonna go up most likely, yeah. And Matique Homer too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, love to see that. Yeah, it's been encouraging, and I guess jumping to the next, speaking about home runs, Wilberson DePena has been on a tear with them.
Hmm.
He has 11 on the season now, which is, it's just really impressive. I did not see it coming from this kid, but he has the exit velocities to back it up. I saw that his 90th percent is 107. Let me, or it may not be, that might have been his max, but still, it's pretty impressive from a 19-year-old kid. Not even 19. I think he's still 18. I know he is 19, never mind. Still, it's, really, it's who saw this coming when we traded for him
No,
for
and
Oswald
especially when he
Peraza.
came over, when he came over to the Yankee
Yeah.
organization, he didn't play well at all. Yeah. Moving on to the pitching side of things, you had Blake Gillespie, who threw five and a third inning, allowed one unearned run, one walk, five strikeouts. Edinson Marquez, who seems to have been regulated to the back end of the bullpen now. Two and two-third inning, three runs, three unearned runs, no walks, two strikeouts, and Austin Breedlove, who's pitched really well of late. He pitched two innings of shutout baseball, one walk, two strikeouts. Just that said, real quick, Blake should be at Tampa, but I just don't see the room for him right now.
Who should be?
Gillespie.
Oh, Gillespie. Yeah, it's kind of interesting what happened with him bouncing back to FCL after starting the season in Tampa. But he's an interesting kid with an interesting slider and changeup. It's just about fastball velocity because it wasn't even averaging 90 after his first couple starts. So if he wants to really make a name for himself, he's got to find a way to find a few ticks there.
So on that pitching side, what's your take on Alejandro? There's a guy I keep waiting to. Is he? I
Pearson,
mean, yeah,
it's hurt again.
I know. I mean,
It's
I keep waiting
yeah.
for something here,
Yeah, I
and
know what you're talking about. I feel the same exact way, especially after Baseball America hyped him up, and I think I've said it before on the show. They were talking about how his fastball was hitting 99 in that first season that he debuted. I never saw him go above 93, maybe 94. He touched a couple times. I didn't see the velo that Baseball America was touting on him, and I kind of didn't get it. I didn't get it, and his pitching, he's had inconsistencies, and injuries definitely hasn't helped his development.
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I got nothing on him.
and
But
that little group of pitchers that he's in age-wise, they just can't seem to stay on the mound.
speaking of, Angel Benitez today threw a simulated BP, so that's a
All right,
positive.
that's something.
Yeah.
And also, speaking of injury pitchers, Xavier Marte, who had Tommy John last year, 20 innings this year in complex, and it's been, decently impressive. It's rough, definitely walking a lot of guys, but as we know, control usually takes a while to get back. Um, and obviously it's DSL and complex where he's been before, but he never walked more than 7.8% of batters. So this is a guy who's had good control. So,
Hmm.
I think it's just kind of rolling with the punches with him right now. But, that's a guy who was kind of a top 30 thought of arm before the injury. Um, obviously he's 22 already, so it's, definitely little old, but Facundo was another guy who didn't really get going until he was 22, 23. So, we'll see if we can get some a Tampa time for him later this season.
And that note, moving on right into Tampa. You had Jackson Lovich, who hit 360 with a 789 OPS, 6 RBIs, 3 walks. I know he just hit a 3-run home run tonight. And before that, we were talking about how last week he didn't get a single extra base hit. And there you go. Starting off the week with a bang. JoJo Jackson hit 333 with an 879 OPS, 2 extra base hits, 2 walks. He's hitting better of late. Luis Escudero hit 308 with a 1012 OPS, 3 extra base hit, 3 RBI, 5 walks, 2 steals.
And
Yeah, with
Lovich, Aaron, you were saying you have concerns about more of a swing thing, less than a just this be
well,
the ebbs and flows of a season type
I
stuff.
mean, I definitely have concern about the zone contact. That's more of just a true concern about his viability. It's he's kind of had his own contact of what Spencer Jones was putting up, and that's something that definitely has to improve, especially at that level. But right now we talk about how much power this guy has and the exit velocities. Um, but yeah, he hits a lot of hard balls on the ground. And I compared it a little bit to Jay Savina. This was a guy who, had some good raw pop, but he just never really seemed to hit for power consistently. And all of a sudden this year it clicked and he was hitting, on a home run barrage and broke his season most home runs in a season total in, 2 months compared to, the 6 months he had played in other years. So it's really just I don't, it's a little holding him back right now that, if he could be hitting the ball in the air more or hitting more line drives, it would be doing a lot more for him. And he just has not figured that out right now. So it's good to see him get a home run because he really has not hit for many extra base hits since coming back from that little injury.
Yeah, I think he just still seems really raw to me, which should make
Hmm.
sense. He's not played a full season of minor league baseball yet. So I'm trying to be patient myself with that kind of stuff because I really like the raw material, and I think there's a very interesting guy here. But what you're saying is absolutely valid, that those kind of things can be more than just roadblocks when it comes to your development. So I'm gonna, like you said with Avina, I mean, Avina feels like a guy who's been around forever, but how old's Jace Avina?
20. So I think Jason Vina might be technically younger because he was a high school pick
Yeah.
that
I
we
think I think when
acquired.
they acquired him, he was like 20 years old, I want to
Yeah,
say.
so he just turned 23 about 10 days ago, while Lovich is, I believe, yeah, Lovich is 22 and a half, so 6 months
Yeah.
younger.
So it
But
might take him some time, and he might
mhm.
end up having a few more years in the minor leagues before we're talking about him as a viable major league player. But again, I still like the raw material there.
Moving on to the pitching side of things, you had Tyler Boudreau, who pitched to a 1.50 ERA, 6 innings of work, 1 run allowed, 4 walks, 11 strikeouts. He had a great game, set a career high. Henry Lalane threw 6 more shutout innings, 2 hits allowed, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts. Velo, as we've spoken before, Velo looks like it's back on him, nearly fully back. I think he's touching 97 a couple times now. JT Etheridge threw 5 shutout innings, 3 hits allowed, 6 strikeouts, no walks. Wyatt Parliament threw 5 innings, 2 runs allowed, 6 hits, a walk, 5 strikeouts. Grayson Carter, 3 in the third innings, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Thatcher Hurd in a shortened game through 3 innings, 1 run allowed, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and Pedro Rodriguez threw 2 and a third shutout innings, no walks, 3 strikeouts.
And I'll just say Hurd is a guy, I really like, and what we've seen from him, his pitch shapes look really sharp. It's just a matter of can he get a little bit more velo coming back to him as he gets, healthier coming back from that Tommy John. He has a very, almost Trey Savage-like release point, very high arm angle, and it creates, a lot of interesting depth. Um, so, that's a guy I was really high on out of the draft, stayed high on despite the elbow injury and have really liked what I've seen in the very small sample he's been back healthy.
At full health, he's triple digits. Was he the
I think he could hit it. I don't believe he was sitting there. But yeah, he was definitely a guy more known for hitting upper 90s. So we'll see if that gets back. But even like 94, 95 with the IVB he gets on his fastball is a really good fastball. It's that's kind of it plays up despite not have if even if he doesn't get the elite velocity he had.
Yeah, and I think that's still in there. It might be a little while, but I think he's going to get there.
Mhm.
And Carlos, you said you don't want to talk about Lalane tonight, right? You want to move on to the next.
We'll save it for the end. We'll save it for the end. Unless you guys want to jump into it right now.
We can save it to the end.
All
Okay.
right.
Give
Moving
the
on to Hudson
listeners
Hey,
something
I
Valley.
to
want to
wait
ask one more
for.
question. Maeda getting close, would you think?
I don't know. I don't know. I'll hit him up and ask him,
I
but
see him posting videos hitting, so
yeah,
I
I
don't
don't know where he's at.
know. Okay.
Moving on to Hudson Valley, Wilson Rodriguez hit 500 with a 1538 OPS, 6 extra base hits, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs, a walk, 4 steals. He was the player of the week down at the Sally. Roderick Arias hit 444 with a 13, I'm sorry, with an 1133 OPS, 3 extra base hits, 3 RBIs, 3 steals. Kyle West hit 400 with a 1378 OPS, 4 extra base hits, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs. Eric Genter hit 333 with a 1066 OPS, 3 extra base hits, a home run, 5 RBIs. Cam Troyer hit 286, 4 extra base hits, 2 RBIs, 7 walks, and Emmanuel Tejada hit 263 with an extra base hit, 3 RBIs, 4 walks, 2 steals.
And
So I'm gonna
I feel like the
apologize.
F's.
So go ahead, Aaron.
I was gonna say, I just feel like the Hudson Valley. We were kind of waiting for them to really do something. They kind of been a bit of a, well, I don't want to say boring, but uneventful team, and the offense has really started to wake up for them. And it's been really fun to watch. I think Core Jackson's the main guy. I've tweeted about it a couple times. I wrote about him in my prospect notebook last week, but since coming back from that injury, it's been really good. His issues before the injury where he didn't have good swing decisions, really bad swing decisions. He wasn't making any much zone contact, and he was hitting the ball on the ground a lot. Or if he was hitting it in the air, a lot of it was the other way. Now, well, the swing decisions aren't great. They're definitely more in the average territory, which is you can deal with. He's making a lot more contact in the zone, and he's pulling the ball in the air a lot. And that's why he's hit now 5 home runs since coming back from his injury. Um, This is a guy who had a lot of talent. He had hit the ball really hard in college and was, a very easy guy to get hype around, and it just didn't click right away. But I don't know what happened when he was hurt, but it's looking like it's clicking right now.
And he homered tonight too, I believe.
Yeah, I was including that in my
Uh,
yeah.
And Wilson Rodriguez, I've been a fan for a while and waiting
He also homered
patiently.
tonight, by the way.
he did.
And I
Yep.
remember we brought him up earlier, Aaron, and you said, you'll feel better when you gave me his underlying stuff. And I'm gonna apologize to Wilson Rodriguez right now for kiboshing him with me putting my jinx on him, but I watch him move and swing, and you can roll your eyes if you want to, but I see a lot of Curtis Granderson when I watch him
Mm.
play. And
Similar
I'm
style of gameplay.
what's that?
Similar style of gameplay, so I can
Yeah,
see it.
so I'm not saying he's Curtis Granderson, but I'm saying here he's looking like the player that I hoped he might look like. And so I'm hoping this isn't just him on a heater. I'm hoping that this is him taking that step in his development and he's more of the player that we hoped he would be.
Want to play the same game that we did last time we did this? Yeah, you talked about him.
Let's go.
Well, I have a bigger sample of going. This goes, he's obviously been hot late, but I have this going back to the 2nd of May, so it's 37 games. In this time, he's hitting 309, 397 on base, and a 463 slugging, which is good for an 860 OPS. And this is also going to go up because he homered tonight. And I think he might have had another hit. But the underlying in that time, he's chasing only 20% of the time with a 65% zone swing. So that's very George Lombard-esque. It's kind of around where Lombard is. So it's pretty darn good. It's allowed him to walk a good bit. He's making a lot of zone contact, 84% zone contact rate, and he's pulling the ball in the air at a 15.1% rate, that's probably why we're seeing some emerging power because he's starting to do what you should do when you're not an outlier power hitter like Spencer Jones or Aaron Judge, and that's hit the ball to the pull side. This is a kid I liked a lot too, and it's definitely, it was, I don't want to say it was an aggressive promotion because he is, almost 20, he'll be 22 at the very end of the season. So it's kind of, maybe he's just under that high A age average, but it's really good seeing him heat up because he's definitely a kid that's, got some nice utility upside, if not a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that was a vote of confidence from the organization because I think they've
Hmm.
seen this for a while and he's responding. And I do think there's strength there, there's athleticism there. This is I think this is a player who I'm not gonna try to guess at what he could be, but I'm really happy that the numbers are starting to come along here, instead
Hmm.
of just like waiting for someday. I think he's got something for the back of his baseball card now.
On the pitching side of things, you had Bryce Cunningham. He threw 6 shutout innings, 3 hits allowed, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Alan Facundo threw 5 innings, 3 hits allowed, 1 earned run, 6 walks, 4 strikeouts. Franier Herrera, 3 innings of work, I'm sorry, 5 innings of work, 2 earned runs, a walk, 5 strikeouts. Luis Velasquez, who was sent up to Hudson Valley from Tampa, he's still rehabbing. 2 shutout innings, a walk, 3 strikeouts. Bryce Wallrecker, 2 shutout innings, a walk, 3 strikeouts, and Thomas Baboni, 1 and 2/3 innings, shutout, no hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts.
You think the Facundo, it seems like he's having a lot of success there as a starter. And I know we talk about it all the time. Are we going to start hearing some noise on him here as we move towards the middle of the season? Being a Rule 5 guy, getting towards the trading deadline, that kind of stuff.
I mean, he's one of
Any
the guys you
movement
got to put.
there?
He's one of the guys you got to put on hug watch because he is a Rule 5 eligible, like you just said. He's still at Hudson Valley. He survived Rule 5 last season. I would personally say he wouldn't survive this time if
Yeah,
something
that's what
doesn't
I
happen.
think. I think he's going to be a guy who
It's
draws some
tough.
interest.
It's tough. I mean, I'll be honest, I really am not worried about him getting Rule 5 picked, and if he does, I'm not really concerned about him staying on you look at the guys who do it, usually they've been in Double A, which he has yet to be in Double A. Um, Now, that being said, certainly, especially if he reaches Double A later this year, I could see some team looking at his stuff and be like, hey, this guy could be a good reliever. Um, I'm not too worried about just with because he does still have pretty glaring control issues that I don't think will be ironed out immediately if he ever makes the permanent move to the bullpen. I'm not too worried about him being taken. That being said, I would really like to see him in the bullpen because he hasn't been bad in high A. But we the walks have definitely derailed more than a handful of his outings. I get why they're starting him. It makes sense. I think this is a guy though that going into next year, I would like to just say, hey, let's just get this guy in the pen. We'll see what they add. What they trade. We'll see what they A trade away at the deadline. B what they add through the draft and undrafted free agency. But he's a guy I would like to see what happens if you make him a reliever.
Yeah, I'm with you. The walks are my hesitation. Otherwise, I
Hmm.
would still be calling for a faster track for him. And it made me, I do think he's one of the better stories on the pitching side this year
Hmm.
because I think we talked about it before how we thought maybe there'd be more emergence on the pitching side and we'd be talking about a lot more guys having better years. It's still June, but so for Facundo's sake, I don't know. I just feel like I was still surprised that he started the season where he did. And I wondered if he wouldn't be a fast mover while it was going on. So I still got my eye on that.
Let me ask you guys a question. So, in it's my belief or my opinion, I think that soon enough, Hudson Valley is going to need to find two rotation spots, right? One for Henry Lalane and one for Hendry once he returns from his rehab, right? That's probably what he's going to be going back to. What happens to the rotation currently?
I think Hendry would be a reliever, to be honest.
I thought the same thing.
Mm.
Like kind of a long man, kind of a stretch man. Um, but also I don't know where his status is, but Pico Khan is, hopefully close to get coming back. Um, maybe that's something where you make, Lalane and like Franja Herrera piggybacks with each other. Or something to that effect. Um, because I'm not really sure anyone's truly deserving of a promotion as I go look at who's in A plus right now. Just to make sure. Yeah, I
It's
mean
Bryce
Serna's
Cunningham.
But
It's
your
Bryce,
knee jerk
he's been getting better, but yeah,
yeah.
your
I
knee
think
jerk
it's
reaction if someone was going to get a promotion who maybe
No,
did,
I don't think there's a clear cut guy.
but
I
would
would say probably Bryce.
that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking. Just because of I don't maybe pedigree is not the right
Yep.
word, but draft
That's the word I
position
would
and
use.
yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
yeah, that and like I mean, listen, the issue, I mean, obviously the velocity hasn't completely gotten back to where it used to be,
No.
but he's definitely the last two outings, he's kind of fixed the control issues he was having. Only one walk in the two outings, and I'm pretty good at a good strike percent to boot. So I could see them, being a little aggressive with him. Just another option is Sean Palunan could potentially be
yeah.
moved to kind of a longer man role. I think he's kind of clearly a bullpen arm just because he
Yeah.
really just has one pitch and doesn't have a very satisfactory fastball to boot. So that's another option to make room for Lalane whenever he gets his promotion. But we'll see. Also, there's the very obvious answer of it'll take care of itself,
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is usually what happens.
which
Yeah.
is where that's the whole thing. Happened. It's been happening. The Yankees main roster. It happened like three times in the last 3 weeks.
One or two avenues, either that or a trade.
That too.
All right. Moving on to Somerset. Manuel Palencia hit 300 with an 867 OPS, an extra base hit, two RBIs. Jackson Castillo, who has been on fire of late, hit 292 with a 1226 OPS, five extra base hits, four home runs last week with 11 RBIs. DJ Gladney, who has been a nice find by the Yankees, hit 261 with a 798 OPS, a home run, six RBIs, and Kobe Morales hit 261, two extra base hits, a home run, two RBIs.
Yeah, the offense hasn't been as poppin' as it was when Jay Sabina was there before he got hurt. But still Garrett Martin still had even without the homers, he as many homers, he's still been doing well. And yeah, Castillo, another UDFA guy, was hot his first year. Last year, he kind of was pretty average. But it's good to see him doing pretty well now that he's back with Somerset. It's definitely helped keep that offense performing, with the losses of Avina and George Lombard.
Moving on to the pitching side of things, you had Cade Smith through seven shutout innings, three hits allowed, three walks, five strikeouts. Jack Siebert, nice bounce back game for him through five and a third innings, four hits, one walk. Sorry, four hits, one run, no walks, five strikeouts. Xavier Rivas threw four shutout innings, one walk, three strikeouts. Chris Keene threw three and a third innings of shutout baseball, no hits, five walks. Ben Grable hit threw two shutout innings, no hits allowed, two walks, two strikeouts. And Tony Rossi threw two shutout innings, no walks, four strikeouts.
You were talking about Tony Rossi before. I can't remember if we were recording at the time or not, but he got promoted right after you brought him up about can't figure out why he's still at
Hmm.
Hudson Valley, and there he goes up to Double A. I feel like pitching is that's the story, that's the talking point with Somerset, with all the names you just rattled off. And these guys who are interesting relievers with all the volatility, not just in the Yankees bullpen, but in Major League bullpens, all these guys become interesting. Maybe before you think they should be, because maybe in the past we would have said guys like Rossi or Grable that they're down the line players, but these are guys who enter the conversation, I think, faster than they would have in the past.
I forgot who it was, but I think you responded to that, Aaron. Somebody was talking about how Rossi was the best reliever in the system, and I think he's one of the best relievers, but I don't know if he's the best reliever.
I mean, I think
You thought it was
he's
Grable, I think you
definitely
said.
he's definitely one of them, but I think
Yeah.
Grable's the best reliever in the system. His fastball is uh like double plus. And there was, his issue, I don't want to say issue, but the definitely, why he was seeing more resistance in Double A when he first got there was, only having a fastball that he was using was holding him back. But he started to sprinkle in his slider and splitter a bit more, and it's helped him. And if you looking over his time there as a whole now, it's definitely looking a lot better.
Yeah, I think it was an
Just a
adjustment
very
period.
impressive guy. Yeah, it's and like I've obviously gushed over him a lot. Jack Siebert is a guy I've obviously gushed over a lot. And with him, even though it was like three outings in a row where he gave up like 10 hits or like a lot of hits and like two or three home runs and a lot of runs, but he was still like striking out seven, walking
Yeah.
one. And so like it's everything that was going behind what he was doing was still very encouraging. It wasn't totally, he was leaving stuff up a little bit and not mixing his pitches as well. So it's good to see him get back. I was always undeterred on him, but it was good to see him get that bounce back. And then Kyle Carr, I don't even think you mentioned him in or if you did, you mentioned so many names, I just didn't hear it.
No,
But
I didn't mention him this week.
yeah, there you go. I remember a few weeks ago when we were talking, and I've always been a little bit more bearish on him. And he was off to a rough start, and I remember we were talking, and I looked at his TJ
Yeah,
stats
and then your
page,
eyes
his
went like
advanced
this.
stats, and my eyes just literally went out of my head. So I finally got the chance to write about him
Yeah.
in my prospect notebook from yesterday, and yeah, it's just it's not a guy with a lot of velocity, but he really has two good breaking pitches, and this cutter that he introduced last year in Hudson Valley has really helped him navigate lineups, and he's, getting a lot of chase. He's throwing strikes, which really helped change how he's performed, and he's creating a lot of weak contact. And I don't want to, it's kind of like Brendan Beckish to me, where the velocity is definitely going to keep his potential down, but there's still if ways of finding effectiveness in being an MLB caliber pitcher because he's just able to generate week outs. So it's just been very awesome to see for him. You kind of mentioned it earlier with others that this could be a potential trade guy, sell high on. We'll see, but just the pitching at the level definitely has been encouraging.
Now, just the Ben Hess usage and story this year has been interesting because it seems like they have to be so measured with him. No, was it fatigue that they mentioned was the reason for his shutdown, brief shutdown?
I think that's what they went with, but I think I heard something that might have said not elbow, shoulder. So I'm not
Yeah, I've
really
heard the same
sure.
thing.
It's a weird situation. It's been a weird year for him for sure.
Yeah. And that's probably the right word to use is weird for a guy who's a first round pick who is in double A, who has his attributes. Ideally you see him throwing 6 inning outings here, and not being out of the game in the third inning. But it is what it is in this case. So if this is part of his development, fine, but it's certainly an interesting way to go about it.
And I think we'll probably talk about this when we have our draft episode. Um, the Yankees kind of went out of their usual in that 2024 draft, going with 7 pitchers in a row, and I did like it a lot. At that time, especially, we kind of were needing some pitching. Um, But I think you see the risks with taking all those pitchers, and especially a college pitcher, it's not the most ups as much upside as taking a high school arm. And, this is the things that come with it. You can have two guys who look really good. Ben has had a fantastic year last year. Bryce Cunningham was having that, and then he had injuries that kind of derailed his career a bit. And now Hess just has this weird thing where he just can't stay on the mound or have long outings. And then your third overall pick gets Tommy John. Your seventh overall pick is Tommy John, and your fifth round pick can't throw strikes. And it's what I thought was a really good draft class. Still has good parts. Obviously, we've talked
Sure.
plenty about the 10th, 11th through 20th rounds, but it's just the risk you go with going so much pitching, and why
Right.
I think hitting is maybe the better strategy to go for the way this organization develops pitching.
And it's just the nature of the
And
beast with pitching, right? You constantly have guys going down and coming back, and it's just the development line is not linear, it seems,
Mhm.
with most of them. Even the guys who get to the big leagues, that you're one pitch away all the time from being shut down for a lengthy period. So you still like all these names, they're all interesting, and even the Chase Hamptons of the world, where it's like
Mhm.
at some point we probably get a different version of them, but we just have to be so patient with all these people.
Yeah, 'cause Hampton's thing is he's shown good shapes. It's just the velocity isn't what we're used to. And he's definitely, working basically off 2 years of rust right now.
And Lalane's the poster child for that. When in the sense that just
Yeah.
be patient, the raw material's there, let's see what happens. And I'm not
Well,
going to get ahead of it though.
let's get AAA done quickly so we can
Yeah.
jump into it.
Moving on to AAA, you had Tyler Hartman, who hit 333 with a 985 OPS, two extra base hits, a home run, two RBIs. George Lombard hit 333 with an 1185 OPS, seven extra base hits, two home runs, three RBIs. And Ernesto Martinez hit 333 with the 1000 OPS, two extra base hits, two home runs, six RBIs. Let me just
Lombard, we'll talk more about Lombard later, but it's good seeing him play well.
move right into the pitching. Elmer Rodriguez threw 11 innings of work. He allowed four runs, five walks, six strikeouts. Brendan Beck threw three and a third shutout innings, three walks, six strikeouts. Zach Messenger, two shutout innings, one walk. And Will Bryan, who was there for a cup of coffee, one and one third shutout innings with three strikeouts and a walk.
Speaking of a guy who's having a strange year, but Elmer, do you think the up and downness has had an effect on him at any point?
I just think it's because even from the start of the season, I just don't think his control has been as sharp, and it's really affecting his ability to, get the same amount of swing and misses he had been in prior year, and he's
And
walking
that
more
question has
guys.
been there, right? I mean, that's
Yeah,
been a question about him in the past.
yeah, it's because last year, even though he was, not walking many guys and striking out a lot, he was, there was still kind of the the zone percent wasn't as good as you would want, and it's, I think kind of reared its head in the wrong way this year. So it's still, a guy who has good potential, but it's definitely needs some cleaning up and kind of synchronizing with his mechanics.
Are you down on him?
Little bit, I don't think if he were to remain ranked in the top 100, I think he would be at the very back of it. I think Baseball America has kept him in like the 60s or whatever. I would say he's more in the 90s right now if he's in it. Um, I wouldn't fault them for putting him out, but he's still a guy who's kind of right in that borderline of it. Like a good month stretch and he would shoot back into it type of situation.
How about you, Carlos?
I'm still high. I mean, I don't think he's trending upwards or anything, but he's still a major league caliber pitcher in my opinion. Maybe a 4 or 5. But we've already seen what he could do at the major league level.
Mhm.
I don't think he has much else to prove. Continue to work on his command, but I think he's a major league ready pitcher.
That's a good question. Do you think in another organization who doesn't have a rotation like the Yankees that he is a back end starter right now?
I
Absolutely, I
could
believe
see
so.
it. It depends how they wanted to play with their prospects. I would love him on the Nationals right now. I think it would be a good learning experience for him. But yeah, definitely, just with us, there's no need for that.
CJ Abrams for Elmer. Who says no?
Oh my God.
Lock it in.
Speaking of, I voted for TJ Rumfield today for at the All Star.
You
All
won't be
right.
the only one.
All right. Moving into a couple guys that I just wanted to briefly touch on. First is, of course, Henry Lalane. Over his last 5 starts, he's pitching to a 1.03 ERA, 0.87 WHIP. That's 26 and a third innings of work, 17 hits allowed, 3 earned runs, 6 walks, 34 strikeouts. That's about 12 K per nine, 34% strikeout rate, and about a 1.91 FIP. He has been absolutely on fire over the last month, I would say. And the velo's pretty much back to where it was pre-injury or the beginning of many injuries, multiple injuries, sorry. Touching 97, 98.
And the three of us
Um,
watch more videos of guys pitching than we should for people who don't work for major league organizations. But I will say that when I saw the video from Lalane's start, maybe it was 2 starts ago if it wasn't the last one, at the first pitch I went, "Whoa." It jumped off the screen what's coming out of his hand. It looks different. I know it is different. The velo's up, but
mhm.
he looks like the guy that we wanted him to be when you just look at the physical attributes and what he was before, maybe this might even be better than what he was before he got hurt.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's especially going to 516 when that was even that was I'd say a correctional start. He still gave up a lot of hits that day, but really since like the middle of May, he's just been so much sharper, and his Statcast page is a lot of red, which is what you want to see. His with the velocity has been up. It's sitting now, not more. It looked like he averaged 94 in his last outing, which is, basically like 2 ticks better than he was averaging earlier. It's his pitch shapes aren't great. Um, but when you're a 6'7" lefty, who has a very high arm angle and has great extension down the mound and is throwing velocity, you don't really, it's lefties are such a unique breed where you don't need great metrics just because it's a a arm that people aren't used to seeing. So it's definitely a guy he has upside again now that he's rediscovered that velocity. And if the Yankees can keep working on some of those pitch shapes, I think his four seam definitely has some good stuff to it. His changeup is solid. We'll see where he can go. But this is what he needed to get back on track because he was definitely looking a little lost in the woods there.
I mean, he was literally looking like that sometimes on the mound too. His body composure was when
Mhm.
when he wasn't able to command as well as I've seen him throw. You could see in the composure on the mound that the frustration was there. And to me, this is the best he's looked since I've seen him pitching at the DSL, where he feels like he's in total control.
Mhm. Yeah, three average like the four seamer slider and changeup as those are like three average offerings, and like I said, a lefty who has great extension and has a very high arm angle that plays.
And
I
is a
don't
good
know
enough
if
athlete to repeat his
yeah,
mechanics and body enough of the body control that he can
mhm.
control the strike zone too.
I don't know if it plays as we're not. I don't think we're talking about like a number one, two type starter when he was in the FCL, but certainly a guy who can be like a 4 or 5 good reliever. Who
Yeah,
knows? But we're talking
major
about a
league
guy
arm,
who's,
right? Major
yeah,
league arm.
exactly.
The next guy I wanted to talk about was George Lombard, who has been hot going back to, I would say May 17th. I think he's hitting 280 since that time frame. But over his last 14 games, he's hitting 308 with a 413 on base percentage. That's 1025 OPS, 10 extra base hits, 3 home runs. The walk rate is a tick under 13%, and the strikeout rate is about 22%. It's 163 WRC plus.
I was going to test you. Did you read my article? I didn't hear an answer to
Of course I
that.
did. Of course I did.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very funny way just how he's gone because that first, few weeks, couple weeks of the season in AAA, there was the good process, but he just was not getting results. And it was kind of a little bit overly passive at points. Then, as Carlos said, 517, that's kind of where he started getting some hits and was, looking better. He is having some doubles, his first home run. But in that 10 game span, he was chasing a lot more. He was striking out a ton, wasn't walking. He was walking less than 10% of the time, which is crazy for him. And it just was not George Lombard. And the expected stats back that up. He had a very low xWOBA. Since I think it was like 529, it's been the perfect meshing of both those first two periods where he's getting the results, but he's doing it in a George Lombard-esque way. Um, and we obviously there's a lot of talk of will he be the shortstop at some point? Will he be the shortstop? And if he keeps this up to this is what you want to see. He's hitting for power. He's pulling the ball best he's ever had in his career, hitting the ball super hard, playing really good shortstop. And this is a top 10 prospect in the game, hands down.
I think the only question that we had for him in going into this season was, will the bat finally catch up to the defense? And I mean, lately it looks like it's getting there.
It still surprises me the conversation we're having about him, but it's a legitimate conversation. That the context for it, I just can't think of another example in recent memory. From the Yankees standpoint, I can't come up with one at all where we're actually talking about bringing up the starting shortstop when you're in first place for the second half of the season. And it's not, I mean, I thought that was crazy at the beginning
Yeah.
of the year, and I'm still having trouble believing it, but it's a legitimate conversation. And you're at a time where you're gonna have Dominguez and Spencer Jones in the lineup for a while now. Judge isn't coming back anytime soon. Stanton just keeps getting hurt. Hopefully Dominguez doesn't have to have any more teeth pulled, but otherwise he's in the lineup today. But it's a wild thing to think right now that a, a team that really, when Caballero was the shortstop, didn't have a shortstop problem is now, and I don't know what they're thinking, but we're really having the conversation that this kid's in the lineup after the All-Star break.
And you're right, Caballero has performed well, but that's not, oh, he just hit a home run off a position player, by the way. Literally just did it.
He kills those guys.
Um, great for the stat sheet. But I like Caballero a lot, and he's been great shortstop for the team, but I definitely think he's more useful as a utility bench
Yeah.
bat. And if George, or, if George Lombard filling that hole at shortstop and allowing, I like Rosario a lot, but if Caballero can be your starting third baseman against lefties, and leaving Ahmed for more of just a true pinch hit type situation, I think that's the best utilization of your roster right there. So we'll see what they do.
And when he
It's
comes up, he can't sit, right? He comes
yep,
up, he plays.
and we've talked about it. Well, I'll keep saying it every episode. Don't expect him to immediately go go bonkers. Like a lot of
Right,
guys need time. That's just the
right.
way these promotions work now. But if you get him up in like August, you're giving yourself a nice 2-month runway for him to really kind of get his feet wet.
But that's why I keep thinking the weird part is that 2 month runway is down the stretch of a pennant
Yeah.
race in a close division. Now, what you said is right, period. Guys should be expected to struggle coming up to the big leagues. But it's been the case with him when he gets a promotion,
Yeah.
it takes him a while to get his feet under him.
Yep.
Which is why I just
Yep.
think this is a very, very strange conversation, but not an illegitimate one.
hmm
I was gonna say the same thing happened with Jason, right? Every time he moved to a new league, he struggled at first.
Yeah, it's just the way the gaps are bigger. We definitely talk about the high A to double A gap the most, and I think there's a good reason for that. But each level has good step to it, where it does take some adjusting to, unless like you're one of the very best prospects. But then still jumping to MLB for even the best prospects can take a little bit. So, but it's awesome to see. Hopefully, this hand injury from today is not a big deal. Hopefully, it's just a little jam or something. Um, but yeah, and hopefully, it doesn't slow him down. But it's, awesome to see this. Like I said, top 10 prospect in baseball, without a doubt.
So I was thinking, so Josh Norris tweeted out, who are your untouchables? So if you're a fan of an organization, who in their system is an untouchable for you? And that's the only name I can think of. Would you say he's an untouchable prospect for them? Like,
I
would you
have
think the organization has him earmarked as their next shortstop?
I mean, I have a couple. I have three. Obviously Lombard, because I mean, like we've said, I think not only is the answer at shortstop for the future, I think he might be the answer for this season. Um, you know, I'm really not sure if you can get a guy better at the deadline for shortstop. Just because it's the guy's available, or it's can they? I think you're just anyone you get is you're just asking the same questions you're asking with Caballero and Volpe. I think Legrand is untouchable because I don't think you're acquiring any reliever who can do what he does on the mound. We're seeing that kind of deloading process, but even in this kind of deloading where you're still going multiple innings, the metrics are looking a lot better now in relief than they were when he was starting because he's throwing a lot more strikes, and I think it's been a little easier on him mentally. So I just don't, we'll see how he does when he gets to the majors, which is clearly happening soon. But I just don't think you're getting in the trade deadline an arm like his. So I think those two don't get are untouchables because they're just more useful to this team now. Like they're contributors to this team. And then the third is just Kilby because I just don't want to trade a guy of that potential when he's been injured and unable to raise that floor. So I just don't think you're getting as much as you really should be, unless someone's just like a complete sucker for him and loves him and is willing to give you, a elite piece for him now and then. But I just don't think he's really one you should look to trade.
I know easy. I was gonna say the same guys plus add Lalane to that group, and that's pretty much it for me. But again, in the right deal, I mean, I can't. I mean, I could fault Cashman. You know how I feel about his trades as of late. A lot of times I'm just angry that you've made this trade. I feel like it's misuse of prospect capital.
I'm sticking with just George on my list, but that's
That's
okay.
fair.
It's okay. But with the caveat that depends on what's coming back.
The last guy I want to touch on is a lightning rod for many prospect watchers, especially in the Yankees fandom. It's Roderick Arias. Over the last 12 games, he is hitting 348. And he did hit a 3-run home run today.
Was lightning rod a play on words? That was pretty clever. I'm gonna give you credit for that one.
That's Aaron's cue.
Listen, he's been better. I'm happy that he's, finding some stability, still striking out too
And let me
much.
before we get into that, let me just say that
Yeah.
in my last 5 years of exclusively watching Yankees farm system, I don't think I've ever seen a better third baseman.
He has a really strong arm. That
And
is
I'm
for
finally seeing the
yeah.
defense that Baseball America was raving about when he was
Yeah.
in the IFA.
Shortstop may have just been a bit too much responsibility for
Yeah.
him. But yeah, it's the defense is awesome. There's still, he definitely has some contact concerns and some pitch recognition concerns. His K rate during this hot spell and walk rate are still not great, but he's putting the ball in the air more. He's hitting for more power. Um, he swings a lot, so he does swing a lot in the zone still, which is good for him. And it's just, it's nice seeing him look. not that he's gonna become the top prospect he once was again, but it's at least nice just seeing him be like a guy who can contribute at his level instead of a guy who's struggling with like a 500 OPS or whatever. I guess last year was 640. So it's still 672. I'm guessing it's gonna go up after today. But yeah, it's just nice seeing a guy who's just not hapless.
I still want to believe.
Yeah.
So I'm with it. But
Call me a
in a bigger
sucker. Call me a
context,
sucker.
in a bigger context, him moving to third, I might in the past have said that puts more pressure on his bat. But look at the major league third base position. Does it? Is that the way it is anymore? I mean,
Look,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna be
it's
honest with
rough.
you. Today, I was doing my All-Star game voting, and I'm looking at. I don't give a shit. Call me a boomer all you want. I'm looking at batting averages, and I'm like, this is disgusting. How can I vote for this guy hitting 232? How the hell is this guy leading? He's hitting 220, whatever. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
yeah. So I mean,
Second base and third base are disgusting this year, and especially in the AL. The AL especially is rough.
not wrong. So I that's what I think. Like if he is a premium defender at third and can hold his own with the bat, then you still have a prospect there as long as he holds his own with the
Hmm.
bat.
Yeah, we'll see how long this hot run lasts, but it's definitely, night like I said, it's nice to see for a guy who's been, had a hard time of it ever since coming to full season ball.
And still, how old?
He's what, 21?
Yeah.
Barely, freshly
Um,
21-ish.
Let me check this. I
I
have
want
no
to say,
idea.
I want to say freshly 21.
No, he turns 22 on September 9th. So, it's still going to be his completely 21-year-old season, but he'll yeah, be 22 at the very end of it.
So let's call him a college senior then, and we'll go from there.
It's fair.
Who's the last guy you wanted to touch on?
I
Wilson
am good.
Rodriguez.
Oh,
Wilson
no, we talked about
Rodriguez.
him.
We got,
Oh,
yeah, we got
We
all
talked
Wilson.
right.
about him.
Yeah.
All right. All right, then. On that note, guys, we're gonna head on out of here. If you haven't already done so, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Have a good night.